Hey guys, welcome to chapter 4 of the pre-algebra program. And we're going to make up a little bit of time because of the extra time that we spent with chapter 3. And we're going to move right along to section 2, entitled Powers and Exponents. And in this section, we are going to write expressions using exponents. And here we go again. We are going to evaluate expressions. And just to remind you, the difference between an expression and an equation is that an expression does not have an equal sign, whereas an equation does. Be mindful of that. Let's just jump in here. I'm not sure if you've had much experience with exponents. If you haven't, that's fine. Hopefully you'll catch on pretty quick. And if you have, then I'm hoping this will be just a good quick review for you. Exponents are a way to write repeated multiplication. So if we had 8 times 8 times 8 times 8, we could write that all out. Or more simply, we could write 8 to the 4th. So the exponent represents the amount of times that we're multiplying our term. If I had just 9, then that's simply 9 to the 1. We're only going to do that one time. And if I had something like -6 times -6 times -6, then I could simply rewrite that as -6 to the 3rd. So, exponents allow us to write repeated multiplication in a more simplified form. All right, if we can do it with numbers, guess what? We can do it with letters. Yay! And the world rejoiced. Okay, so you simply have to count how many of each you have, and you're going to use that number as your exponent. So in this case, I only have one a, so it's a to the 1st. And then I have 2 b's, so that means I'm going to have b squared. So you can write that with the little dot, or I want you guys to get used to just writing it without anything, because when we put variables together or variables and coefficients together, we assume it means multiplication. Okay, what if we had y times y times y times y? Well, we'd count up how many we had, and that's simply our exponent, y to the 4th. Okay, we can do it with numbers, we can do it with letters, and guess what? We can do it with numbers and letters. Yay! You can tell I'm in a rare mood today. All right. What if we had 3 4s and then 5 x's? Well, again, I would just count up what we had. We have 4 to the 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then x to the 5th. Okay, what if I had 5 times 5 times the quantity x plus y times x plus y? Okay, don't be distraught. We're going to follow the same rules here. We have 2 5s, so it's y to the 5th. And then simply count how many quantities you have of the x plus y. And of course we have 2, so it would be 5 squared x plus y quantity squared. Okay, let's go ahead and start some of our evaluating. Let's say we have something like 3 to the 3rd. So now we're kind of going backwards. Well, remember that the exponent is how many times we're multiplying that term. So my term is 3, and I'm going to multiply it 3 times. And when I do that, 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. So those are pretty easy. You just have to write out how many of the term you have, and then do the multiplication. But let's say we throw in some letters. Do another type of example. Let's say m equals 3, n equals 2, and p equals negative 4. And I have something like 3m squared. Now this is going to utilize a lot of the skills that we have learned this semester so far. So for me, that's very exciting as a teacher. I like to see everything kind of coming together. And we've done a lot of evaluating expressions, so this hopefully will seem pretty familiar to you. So basically we need to do a substitution here for m, right? M equals 3, so I'm going to make that substitution here. And remember, when I make a substitution, I'm going to put the substitution in parentheses. And the reason that's important is because in PEMDAS, exponents comes before multiplication, and order matters. That means I have to do my 3 squared first. And 3 squared is the same thing as 3 times 3, which is 9. So I'm going to throw that in my parentheses. And then I can do my final multiplication here of 27. So be very careful as we're making substitutions that then we are applying the correct order of operations. Okay, let's do another example. The same letter values, negative 2n cubed plus m. So the first thing we need to do is make the substitution. So for n was equal to 2, and m was equal to 3. So we make our substitution. And now we have to evaluate our order of operations. So first up is my exponents. So remember, over to the side, 2 to the 3 is the same thing as 2 times 2 times 2, which is, that's 4, and then times 2 would be 8. So now I'm going to replace that value with 8. And now my PEMDAS says I need to do multiplication first. So this is using your integer multiplication because negative 2 times 8 is negative 16. And then finally I'm going to do my addition and get negative 13. All right, you guys, I'm going to do one more example like that for you, and then you're going to be ready to go here. What if we had the quantity m minus n to the 8th? Okay, we're going to make our substitutions here. For m, we had the value of 3, and for n, we had the value of 2, and then we keep everything else the same. So I'm going to rewrite this so you just see what's going to happen inside the parentheses here. All right, and remember our PEMDAS again. PEMDAS says parentheses first and then exponents. So I'm going to do my parentheses here, which is 1 to the 8th. And of course that means 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. How many do I got here? Times 1, which is simply 1. Okay, so a couple of things to keep in mind. Make sure that when you're substituting that you're using parentheses. Make sure when you're evaluating you're using your order of operations correctly, and then applying the integer operations correctly. So I want you guys to finish up your notes, read through the examples, and begin your assignment.